Hello, sweet friends. How are you? I hope this finds you well. It's been a hot minute since I came on here and said hello. I know that the camera is not the greatest. It's my laptop. Lighting is not the greatest. There's shadows. There's so much is not the greatest about this video, but it's going to have to do because I am in the midst of preparing my house for when I come home from surgery. As many of you know, I'm having surgery on Wednesday. And it's just time because it's creating a lot of chronic pain. It's preventing me from doing some of the things I want to do. It's really, there's energetically, there's a release of something that's happening with the surgery. Something I'm discovering and I'm kind of ruminating on is my massage therapist and I were talking about my journey with my body as I have many joint replacements because most of you know I had rheumatoid arthritis. It's another thing I want to talk about today, but let's get there. Each time I've had surgery or a joint replacement, I've gone through major trajectories and growth. I've made major changes, major decisions, like major epiphanies are happening. I mean, they're happening now without it, but huge steps forward into the path that I feel I'm meant to walk. So, in this area, the cellular memory is about having to protect someone, having to, uh, kind of the caregiver idea of protecting, taking care of. And, I'm ready to let that go. When my dad passed, he energetically released me from needing to be a caregiver for my family. And right now, there's some familial situations are that others are trying to push me back into that role, and I don't want to be that role. My dad released me so that I could live my life on my terms. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't can't help others or do what I can, but I've done a lot of caregiving in my lifetime, and it's time for me to kind of walk my path and be the caregiver to as being in service to those who come to me to seek healing, to seek health, not just because of familial commitment. Now, I know some of you are like, what? You think that that's wrong or that that's not okay. But we have a choice. Just because we have parents and family, some of us want to be a caregiver, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, that's not my path. That's that's not. I'm very much looking at this in a sense of what's best for me, and that may seem selfish, but I've given a lot, and it's time for me to give myself the safety and the environment that is conducive to my growth to for me to be better as a human, and that's where I'm at now. Okay, so that's a complicated ball of yarn we won't unravel today. But okay, so I had said earlier that I had RA. What does that mean? Well, I've been working with a team of angel healers, and we're not complete yet. But my intention was to ask the angels, to ask the universe, not only from the spiritual aspect, but I've also been coming at it from a mental, emotional aspect because our physical manifestations, our physical diseases, are manifestations of emotions we haven't healed, worked through, or that, for example, rheumatoid arthritis is being highly critical of the self. And I've been doing a lot of work about recreating a relationship between the heart and the mind because it's the mind that's super critical. The heart knows better, but the mind gets super critical to keep us safe because in the past there's been trauma or situations where we haven't been safe. So our brain has created fail safes to keep us safe. And that sometimes manifests as being highly critical. And with the work of therapy, the body work I've been doing, my angel healers that have been helping me, I have now become what's called, they call it remission, but basically my blood work, there's no detectable disease. So And what that means is, what does that mean? Well, when I went to my doctor the last time, my rheumatologist, he took blood work as he always does to see my factors, my inflammation, my rheumatoid factors, and all a bunch of different blood work. And he's like, do you feel you have the disease? And I said, well, no. I said the achiness, the chronic achiness from joint inflammation, I said that is caused by the RA, has definitely decreased. The pain that I have now is just bone damage, actual physical bone loss. I said that's more of a anatomical physical pain versus a disease type of pain. There's a difference. Those of you who have RA know what I'm talking about, or any type of autoimmune, you know there's a difference in the pain. And I'm like, and he's like, so what have you been doing? And I said, well, and I told him, I said, I've been working with some angel healers. I've been doing some energy work. I've been in therapy, dealing with the emotional aspect of it. I said, I also have a massage therapist who is amazing. And she's been helping me release some of the physical stuff. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, why? And he's like, because if I were to look at your blood work, not know you've ever had it, it doesn't show that you have RA. Winning. So there is a way. There is a way, my friends. There is a way when you're ready. I think it takes commitment, and not just like, oh, I'm so tired of this, I want this done. I have embraced it. I have used my illness to catapult me forward in my growth. Like, I understand and I accepted it. There's a lot of acceptance around having it. You know, I didn't, was it frustrating at times? You bet. There was a lot of frustration. Trust me. There were days I threw temper tantrums, but there's a sense of like, okay, I know I manifested it within my own life. How do I heal that? How do I use it as what it's meant to be, which is a beacon to help any physical illness, physical issue sometimes is a manifestation of what we need to heal, because it's gotten to a point where we're not healing it. It manifests itself physically. It just doesn't happen because one day I'm hard on myself or critical. It happens because I've been hard on myself and critical to the point where I refused to take care of myself. I refused to rest. I refused to do what I needed for me. And so it manifested itself because I wasn't listening to myself. So, a lot of our physical issues, our pains, our aches are from emotions. Yeah, okay. If you had a car accident or you've had physical trauma to your body, that's a whole different story. But that doesn't mean there isn't some emotional tie there either, or some maybe past life energy ties. So it's worth seeking. It's worth figuring out. It's worth releasing. So to know that I don't have the active disease makes a huge difference in my life. I've owned it, but it hasn't quite sunk in. Of course, I'm still dealing with the ramifications of having a disease that destroys your joints, because I have a lot of joint damage, physical, anatomical joint damage. So therefore, I need surgery. There's a lot that, is going on behind the scenes, but I'm proud of having the commitment. The commitment comes from committing to ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We, a lot of us want to grow. A lot of us want to change. A lot of us want a different life than what we have. And I think part of it, and part of the solution and the answer, comes from being committed to changing it, but also committed to seeing why it's that way. Committing to see our part and why our life isn't exactly how we want it to be, because we create our lives. We have to remember that we create them. And if we're having similar patterns happen over and over again, you're dating the same guy, you're in another job that you hate, there's certain things within us, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, that keep attracting that. And we have to figure out why. Why do I keep getting the same boyfriend? Or why do I keep having the same job that I'm really gung-ho about and that I hate after? Why is it that I have a lack of fulfillment in my life? We really need to step back and own some of our shit. I hate to put it that way. We don't want to see our part in our lives where it's us that's creating it. We want to project, and our tendency is just to blame others, my parents, the world, society. I mean, honey, we can't heal if we're projecting our shit everywhere. We have to bring that in, and not in a mean, judgmental, unkind way. We have to just say, look, I do this because I don't feel I deserve better, or I feel that if that person, if my boyfriend doesn't treat me with respect, then it's okay. There's a process. I mean, I used to date guys who weren't emotionally available. History of them. And when I realized that I was trying to heal my relationship with my grandfather through all the men I dated, because there was a destruction in my relationship with him, once I realized that, I was like, oh my God. And I told all of them, I'm like, I don't need you to be emotional for me anymore. And it disconnected that whole vibe. And I stopped attracting men who were emotionally unavailable. So it's about learning our part in it, what it is that we contribute to our lives, how we've created the situation. Because as adults, yes, are there roots in our childhood? You bet. Are there things our parents did to make us who we are today? You bet. Absolutely. But it's still not their fault. When you're an adult, you have the option and the ability to heal. And when we take that ownership and we take that commitment and decide, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to do this. And then we take our power back. We say, okay, and the universe will literally hand you the people to help you. They will. It'll find where and who you need to go to help you on that process. And why am I talking about this? Because I know I've talked about it before, but I really feel that right now I'm dealing with some parental stuff. So it's really relevant because I am personally having to understand my part in my life, where I want to be angry at someone, where I want to blame, and I have to understand where my part was, what they contributed and what I contributed, and also where my boundaries with that person is, because now that I understand their thought process and their unwillingness to own their part in the situation. I had to make sure I said it correctly because that's it's a real hot button issue for me right now. Once I realize that they're not willing to own their part in it, I realize I have to set up boundaries to make sure that I'm okay, to protect my well-being and my interests. It doesn't look the same as my brothers in this situation. My brothers have a different relationship with our parents. It's never going to be the same, because they had a completely different experience than I did with our parent. So I won't get into it, but long story short is, where are you at your commitment level? Are you struggling? Do you feel like you're stuck? Are you unwilling to see your part in how your life is? Do you project and blame others and not take ownership of the fact that, hey, I choose to be here because of X, Y, and Z. And, and that's okay too. That's certainly okay. You can live your life any way you want to. It is totally free will, my friend. So let's move on. I'm preparing, so I feel like there's a lot of heaviness in my energy field. There's a lot of heaviness, in me trying to connect with my body, to pay homage to my body, to take care of it, to understand what it needs, to hear it, to feed it appropriately. One of the messages I got from a recent download was I really need to start working on going gluten-free. Not because it's a fad, but because my body reacts better when I don't eat gluten. Does that mean I'm never going to eat pizza again? No, my friend. It's just, for me, right now it's about limiting the amount. It's about, at home where I can control what I eat, it's buying the gluten-free stuff that is good. But also you know, when I'm out and I'm consciously making decisions and I'm like, you know what, I really want a salad and pizza, is to have a piece of pizza that's not gluten-free and a salad. And, but that doesn't happen every day. So it's about making choices and conscious choices. And some days, yeah, I'm going to eat it. Some days I'll be more like, oh, you know what? I don't really need it today. I'm okay. You know, I think the better choice is just salad with chicken or protein or whatever. So it's all about making those conscious decisions. So what's my next path? I really feel I love the universe. I do. I'm really grateful for this pause that I'm getting from work. And I mean my 9 to 5, because I have to reassess some priorities. It's giving me a chance to energetically manifest what I'm working towards. And um, I have a huge announcement coming about something that's in the works, something that's in the right now it's in the creation stage, but that's going to be a video coming out on Wednesday. You're going to get this as soon as I'm done uploading and fixing it and editing it, and then whew, you're going to get another email on Wednesday. Sorry, but that what I'm going to tell you is going to be, it needs its own email. It needs its own video. And I'll look the same because I'm going to record it today. So no continuity there, but whatever. Just know that it deserves its own video while I talk about it, what it is, what I see it being, and, you know, and then moving forward. Because, you know, part of manifesting is talking about it, is putting it into the universe as it's in its works. But the universe is giving me these next 8 weeks to really hone in on what it is I want to work on. It's giving me the opportunity I have to work on my website. I want to work on my next book. I want to, you know, I really want to start being really consistent and building longer campaigns with my social media clients. And yes, those of you who are watching this that don't know, I have been doing social media marketing for a select group of people. Now, what does that mean? These people that I do social media marketing for, I have to align with their message. It's something I have to align with. And I'm not publicly like advertising it, because it's not what I want my core field to be, but it's helping me not do overtime so that I can work on the other stuff that I really need to work on. And it's helping me stay in the field that is true to my heart. And it's helping me help others, you know, achieve, because I do that too. That's I think part of my path is helping others achieve their goals by helping them with stuff like social media, with their websites, with things like that. So yeah, so I have that. And, you know, and if you're ever in the need for someone who is heart-centered, who, and I'm still learning. I don't know everything. I don't even say, I know it all. I'm the best social media marketer you can have. No, that's not quite true, but I'm really good at it. And it's everything I do is more heart-centered, heartfelt, less sleazy, less whatever. Anyways, and none of it's wrong. It's just some of the mainstream ideas about how to do your marketing doesn't feel right with me, and it doesn't connect with me on a soul level. So I just don't do it. And I just kind of created my own, and I'm still working on it. It's, you know, but if you ever need help, need guidance, you know, I'm always available to reach out. What else is happening? So one thing, I had my friend Yeshua came and spent 5 days of just fun. And we always kind of, every 4 months, we always kind of touch base with each other. We walk while different, they're very similar growth patterns. The growth of life, our growth, our healing is very, has a lot of similar tendencies. And I really love that we can share that time to touch base, kind of to just share what we learned, share what we're going through, support each other through that. That's community to me. It's invaluable to me. I mean, just having him as a friend, as, and as a soul sister, it, to me, it's invaluable. But that we can share our path together is icing on the cake. So one of the things we discussed, and one of the things that you will hear later on in the next video on Wednesday, is that I struggled to find out how to categorize myself, because every social media or person who's in the business has a category. And I never felt comfortable with coach, life coach, or any type of coach, or any type of the idea that I had it all, that I knew it all, because I don't. And I felt it was, I sometimes feel those people who do identify as coaches make it seem like, some people may feel that they know it, they have the answers. I don't think any of us really have the answers for our clients. It's about leading them to their own answers, because if you're not ready to accept the answers that are coming from me, you're not going to own it. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. If you're not willing to come to your own epiphanies, your own answers, if you're not willing to do that and willing to walk the path to get there, I don't have answers. I can't give you the answers, because it's not going to work. So he really helped me identify that I do more peer work, because the people that gravitate towards me are the people that have similar issues, similar challenges, similar things that they're navigating through. And, a lot of my work and a lot of my expertise, they revolve around my own healing, my own work, and using that and my intuitive nature and my healing, my tools of healing, the Healing Angel Protocol, readings, whatever it is, that, that's all the tools I use to help others navigate through their own. So it's more peer support, peer coaching, peer whatever you want to call it, than anything. And it really felt so much better to me to call myself a peer versus the guru. I don't want to be the guru. I don't want that idea. I don't want to enter in that idea, because too many people use that as an egoic thing rather than using it as a way to assist people on their path. And a guru can tell you the answer, but if you don't know, if you can't apply it to your life, if you can't see how it fits in your life, the answers don't mean anything. They don't have value until you can apply them, until you see how that works in your own life. And that's part of what I do, is empowering people to not only make the best decisions for themselves, but to see themselves in a way that's empowering, in a way that I have a tendency to do that. Like me, I know me. I know that I have a tendency to analyze everything. I'm so freaking left-brained, it's not even funny. That's the duality of my Gemini self, is I love left-brain stuff. I love order. I love numbers. I am very analytical, but I use that as a deflection when I don't really want to see what the true situation is. So when I see that and hear that now, I'm like, oh, I just stepped into analytical mode, because it was easier than to feel. And then I can return to the feeling, so I understand what that feeling is. So it's about using what others may call our weaknesses, but it's just part of the facet of who we are, and understanding what it does and knowing how to use it to our best advantage. That's freedom, my friends, freedom. Because there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You have fail safes. Your brain has great programs to prevent you from getting hurt. You have emotional reactions to things based on previous trauma. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just how you were built. This is how you were designed and built. And so, in knowing some of that and recognizing some of those things that you do to deflect, to avoid, you can use them to your advantage. Because when I know I'm in avoidance mode, I say, okay, what am I avoiding? And if it's too much, meaning the emotion that I'm avoiding is too big and too hard, I'm like, oh, okay, time to go to therapy and discuss it there because it's safe, because I have someone to help me navigate through it. So I'm using it to my advantage. I'm using the understanding of what I do and how I work to my advantage. That's how you gain freedom. Because what you're doing is, it's not necessarily you're changing who you are. You're using everything that you are and who you are to your advantage. That is freedom. That is saying, you know what? I see I'm an avoider. I see I'm a procrastinator. I see that I'm really analytical when I get emotional. So I'm going to bring all that in and own it and love it. Love it. Totally love it. Because when you do that and you create this dynamic individual and own that part of you, you're like, I have superpowers I didn't even know. And it's true. It's true. You all have superpowers. You all have magic inside you that comes from not using what your parents told you, society told you, somebody told you, a teacher, whatever, that is wrong with you, and understanding that it's everything that's right with you and owning it and saying, you know what, you're right. I do avoid emotions like the plague. But now, for me, that's a red flag. It's an indication that I'm overwhelmed, and I can check in with myself very safely and say, what is it really about? And I say, oh, it's about this. Okay, can I maneuver through the emotion myself? Yes. Okay, good. Do we have enough tools? We're good with it. Can I? No, I need therapy. I need someone who's safe to help me navigate through this. Okay, let's go to therapy. Or let's talk about it next therapy session. And just allow myself to continue to avoid it because it's too much for me. That is like, oh my God, that's like self-regulation. That's self-freedom. So I won't go down that tangent too long, but I just want to let you know that, a lot of what people tell us is wrong is really our gems. They're really our superpowers. They really are. My brain, is my superpower. It is so good. It is so adept. It is so masterful. It is my superpower. But without my heart, I can't use that magic. I can't create magic without my heart. So when I created the relationship, the bridge between the two, I've allowed it to happen. My brain said, okay, let's be a team. However reluctant, it's created harmony. Because I can talk to my brain when it's upset and say, what's going on? Why are we upset? Why are we going into survival mode? It can simply say, well, because this situation feels like it did when, I was a kid and this person did this to me and that person made me feel like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. I get you. You're valid. I can validate how I feel, and then I can work through it to diffuse it. That's magic. That's freedom, my friends. So, okay, let's move on. Take a deep breath. Because it's kind of, we're all kind of, the holidays are coming. Family stuff is some of the biggest issues around the holidays. And I want you to know that I'm here. I want to do a special, if you need an hour of my time to navigate through some of the worries, the stress, the fears, creating plans, like without, doing this surgery on my own and being by myself, like I've worked with, my friends to create fail-safes, to create plans around it that make it successful. Meaning, oh my gosh, if I need groceries, what do I do? Or when I take a shower, who do I call on? If I need someone to help cook, or I have an emergency, like, what have I done to create success around possible issues? My my body loves hard drugs. It's very addictive. I have addictive body. It's thank God I never did drugs as a kid, or the only thing I ever did was smoke, and it wasn't really to excess. I was never a drinker. I did all that before I was 21. But I know when I'm working to get off some of the harder narcotics that they give you post surgery, my brain takes a minute to recalibrate the chemical makeup of what that drug does. So that drug fills you with all the happy chemicals, and when you take it away, there's a huge deficit of it. My brain has to work hard to make it up, and it can't for like 2 days, 2 or 3 days. So I go into a very big emotional spiral, and I get very emotional. I start to feel, the first time it happened, before I knew what was going on, I had this huge emotional breakdown to the point where all I did was I scared people. Like, people thought that I was like done, like I was needed help. So now that I know what's going to happen, I created things and created situations where, I can easily get online and Skype somebody, or I have a restaurant that's really close by to go in and have conversation with people, to get out of my own head, to help diffuse the intensity. I have a therapist who I can call at a moment's notice in this process, that when I'm off the harder drugs, that I can immediately say, "Hey, I'm going to need a session. Can I come down?" I have created fail safes, I guess is the word, created just like how to navigate through this, because I know it's going to happen. And that's how we can create success around known issues. Like, for example, say you're going to Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner, and your uncle's going to be there, and he's, very highly critical of what you do for a job, or your mom's going to be there. And for me, my mom would always talk about how my weight, and how I'd be so pretty if I lost weight. And I just know that was coming. How do we set boundaries? What do we do when we're faced with those situations again, to create success rather than another level of trauma around that? For me, for example, with the body issue, my mother, I told her, I said, she's not allowed to talk about anything about my body. I said to her, I said, don't ever talk about my body ever again. Don't talk about my weight. Don't talk about my size. Don't talk about whatever. I don't care what your intent is. You don't do it in intent to love me. Because if you were to love me, you'd be like, how are you? Are you doing okay? How are you emotionally? Is everything all right? What's going on? You were to talk my talk and understand what I need as a human. So there's hard boundaries that I've had to set around certain things. There's also, if someone brings it up, part of me knows that in order to deal with it, if they bring up my size or my weight or my health is what they try to cover it up as, I say, well, I says, I'm not sure you would understand that complexity of what's happening, so I don't really wish to discuss it with you, but thank you for asking. Or I said, but thanks for your interest, or something. There's other ways that we can create safety around holidays, because I'm very lucky in some ways that my holidays are spent with people I love now that I've moved away from my family, and not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to do that. People want relationships with their family, and that's another thing we have to identify. Are you going to allow this person to verbally ask you questions or talk to you that is very demeaning because you want a relationship with them? And sometimes exploring that and understanding that can make you say, oh, I allow a lot of shitty behavior just because I want to keep the peace, or just because I want to have that person, that relationship. I'm at this point where I'm like, I don't care if you're related to me. If we don't have an understanding or a mutual relationship in a sense of, you're respectful of me and I'm respectful of you, then I don't care if you're my relative. I don't want a relationship with you. That's really hard to say. It's really hard to feel, but it doesn't mean everybody wants or has to go down that path. For me, it was the only way I could break free. But maybe you create discussion beforehand. Maybe when you get to the dinner, you go to that person and you say, hi, you give them a hug, you love them. You say, look, I know you're going to ask me this question and I don't really want to discuss it in front of the entire family, or I don't really want to discuss it here. If you really care about how I'm doing, let's have coffee, or let's call me, or let's Skype, or let's whatever. You can because we create our own lives, we can create the way we handle things. You can either preempt them, or you can have a game plan as far as what's happening after if the situation shows up. My biggest success has happened with having conversation beforehand, because that way you're not stuck in that defensive. You're responding to your need rather than reacting to what they're saying, if that makes sense. So I really want to, if you want some time and you need some time to help set up that dynamic, to help create that, call me. I may be only one-handed for a hot minute, but call me, because I will happily help you. And as a holiday special from now through the end of December, if you need help, I'll give you a free half hour, free 30 minutes to help you navigate things you're afraid of happening when you're faced with your family, and how you can navigate around that. So you get 30 minutes free. Not only will I help you, we will get a download from the angels to see what they say, to see what the best way to handle it is. If you need more than 30 minutes, and you say you need an hour, I'll give you an hour for $30. That's over half off. That's more like 75% off. So if you need a half an hour, I'll give you half hour for free, 30 for an hour, and we'll talk about what you're worried about, how you're going to navigate through family, and what that is, and how to look at it, and maybe discover some other things that we didn't know. What else? Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, is just how to deal with our families this holiday. I think angels aren't really giving me much more. I'm going to do a video shortly after this one to announce some information, and go from there. But I really wanted to just jump on and say hello, and I love you guys, and I hope that whatever you celebrate, whatever you don't celebrate, I'm just hoping that it's safe, it's loving, it's kind. You're kind to yourself. You're aware, you validate your needs, and that you're willing not to compromise those things, because you deserve that. You deserve environments where you don't have to compromise it, even if you don't feel that yet. I'm saying you do. I love you guys. I am so grateful for you listening to me ramble on about family. Yeah, that's really all I have this month. Like I said, remember, get a half hour free if you want to talk about navigating around familial issues that you might encounter this holiday. If you need an hour and want an hour, then it's $30. It's probably the lowest I'll ever have that. Or even it's just because I love you guys and I am in it right now. So I so understand the trepidation, the fear, the not wanting to go, having it possibly ruin your holiday. I get it. I get it. So reach out to me if you need me. Till then, I'm loving you every day. And if you want, and I'll have quite a bit of time. So if you guys need a healing or want a healing, come November, I'm going to run a special for the holidays for gift certificates. So watch out for that. Loving you. Take care. Be well. And I'll see you Wednesday. Take care, guys.